Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside Gaming. I hope you're having a safe and wonderful Sunday and making the best out of things, you know? I know I am, and by that I mean only showering when absolutely necessary. I've gathered you all here today to talk about video games, obviously, but not just video games, but video games that haven't reared their ugly heads in a long time. Whether it's because the developers just threw the whole ass franchise in the trash, or because they didn't deem it profitable. That's dumb. What do you need money for? Either way, this is just my personal wish list of forgotten video games that I hope to see a resurgence of some kind. I don't know. Either way, it's my list, okay? You might agree with some of them, you might not. And before we begin, it's not a top 10, okay? There's no specific order here. It's just me ranting at you for 10 minutes and 1 second. So, let's begin, shall we? So I'm going to start this off right with a big one. Some of you might be aware of my insatiable need for a new Blasto game, and if not a new one, maybe a remaster or a remake, I don't know. And if you haven't played Blasto before, allow me to remind you of its glory. Blasto is a third-person shooter slash platformer developed by Sony Interactive Studios and released on the PlayStation back in 1998. You played as Blasto, who I always thought looked strikingly similar to Space Ghost. Voiced by the late legend Phil Hartman, he was your stereotypical musclehead action hero, saving babes and killing aliens. It was great. I remember being absolutely blown away by the interactive world. Interactive as in, I shoot the glass and it breaks. I'll admit, it didn't take much to impress me as a child. You mean ketchup can be purple?
I'll take your entire stock!
While the platforming was a little wonky with the PS1 controller and the semi-tank controls, the puzzle elements were way ahead of its time. The game received mixed reviews for the most part and was kinda never mentioned again. It had the kind of crude humor and satire that probably would have done much better in the later years, but here we are. So Sony, give the people what they want. Give us a new Blasto, come on. I won't shut up until you do. Moving on. When I think of the 90s, I get one of those Vietnam War flashbacks, but all the images are early concept art from Rare's Killer Instinct. This game tickled my aesthetic bones so hard, and I absolutely loved the franchise as a kid. It remained one of my favorite franchises up until now even. So imagine my excitement when I hear that the third entry in the series is becoming a reality in 2013. Classified as a reboot, this new iteration of the fast-paced fighter captured my heart. With a soundtrack beautifully crafted by Mick Gordon, the game was amazing. And just to show you how much I absolutely adore the original OST, I own it both on vinyl and the Killer Cut CD that came with the SNES cartridge. I was so happy that Mick Gordon did not disappoint with bringing these jams to a newer audience. Thank you, Mick. I love you. Killer Instinct was back, baby. But then it wasn't. Like I said, the game came out back in 2013, and it received some support over the next 3 years, but in 2016, the final season was released, and then nothing.
So let's do this. With all of you guys that are watching, everyone that pays attention to my channel, that loved KI videos back in the day, or watched streams or tournaments, let's try to make Microsoft realize how great this franchise is and how much we want to bring back KI.
Of course, with the next generation of consoles, maybe Microsoft will realize that it should better utilize its IPs, because with Rare alone, you guys have so much gold. Do something with it, please. Moving on. Okay, so hear me out. I know Mortal Kombat hasn't gone anywhere, but they used to have a lot of fun with their IP. Good or bad, they were willing to experiment, and that offered up some interesting experiences in the MK universe. For example, MK Mythology Sub-Zero, MK Special Forces, and MK Shaolin Monks. These three were heavy deviations from the standard fighting action we've grown to love for Mortal Kombat, but they gave us better insight into that sweet, sweet lore. Shaolin Monks is pretty universally loved for the most part, but the other two are strongly disliked by the MK community for obvious reasons. Look, I don't care what people say, okay? I loved Special Forces as a kid. I'm sure if I went back and played it now, I probably would hate it because I'm sure it plays like an undercooked Hot Pocket, and I refuse to even look at the box art for it because I want to keep my memories pure. Even in the later Mortal Kombat games, they gave us Conquest Mode, which served as an open-world-ish RPG that also allowed for them to expand on the universe. Now imagine if they did that now. With the technological advancements we've made, they could really give us something cool, but I'm sure that's a pipe dream. I guess give us Mythologies with an updated control scheme? I don't know, that game played like ass. Moving on.
I am Tarak.
If you were a fan of first-person shooters in the 90s, then chances are you've played Tarak the Dinosaur Hunter. Released in 1997 on the Nintendo 64, Tarak had you playing as Tal Set, the Native American time-traveling warrior. Basically, you traverse different levels, killing dinosaurs and other enemies with an over-the-top arsenal. Tarak actually spawned a few sequels too, like Tarak 2 Seeds of Evil, Tarak Rage Wars, Tarak 3 Shadow of Oblivion, and even the prequel Tarak Evolution. They did attempt to reboot the series in 2008 with the simply titled Tarak, which was pretty cool, I guess. And yes, I'm aware of the recently released Turok Escape from Lost Valley. It's cute, but you look at that and tell me it's a Turok game. How does it go from this to this? Basically, what I'm asking for here is more of this. The original Tarak and Tarak 2 for the N64 were actually ported to the Switch with remastered graphics that I'm pretty sure is because it's a port of the PC version, and they looked amazing. Could this actually be a sign that maybe they're starting to show interest in this franchise again? If so, I'll have my money in my bank account waiting for you guys. Moving on. When it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog, people are usually divided as what is considered peak Sonic. Some people like classic Sonic, some people like the newer Sonic games, some people like whatever the hell this is. But for me, I'm a simple guy. If I don't get the option to play as Edgy the Hedgy, then I don't want it. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 were, in my opinion, the most iconic Sonic games for a few reasons.
Big the cat.
Big the cat. Big the cat.
Big the cat.
Big the cat.
Big the cat.
In Sonic Adventure 2 specifically, the story that was being told was actually really cool. The idea of Sonic needing to save the planet actually gave the whole thing motive. The interchanging stories between characters all culminated to an ending that almost felt Dragon Ball-esque, and that was exactly what the franchise needed at the time. Or at the very least, what I needed at the time. And of course, there was the Chow Gardens. I spent most of my childhood taking care of these weird little teardrop baby monstrosities, feeding them animals and crayons just to see what happens. Then you get bored and throw them against the wall to get like a really cool devil chow. Weird how they rewarded child abuse, but hey, it was the 2000s, baby. So where's Sonic Adventure 3? Well, some people say Sonic 06 was Adventure 3, but I refuse to accept that. In an interview back in 2017, Sonic team head Takashi Iizuka stated, "I hear people saying that they want Adventure 3, but the path that we're on and what fans want that to be might not be an advancement of the series. So I don't want to do an Adventure 3 and step the franchise back just to give the fans what they want." And that really sucks because I feel like now would be a better time than any. I mean, a lot of the kids that grew up with the series are at an age now where they would buy the hell out of a game like that. But that's okay, I'm sure people will continue to draw Rouge the Bat Rule 34 for the foreseeable future. Moving on. You know, I can't remember the last time I was able to look at an onion without hearing the words kick and punch in my head. Parappa the Rapper was an easy to pick up but difficult to master rhythm game that released on the PlayStation worldwide in 1997. The game had you playing as a dog who couldn't go anywhere without spitting some rhymes. The gameplay was simple enough, but the story was about Parappa's love for this sentient flower named Sunny. This kind of drives the motive for the whole game. Impress the flower chick who is being wooed by the alpha Chad dog Joe Chin. You went through various stages, each with their own theme, and then you were rewarded with a cutscene to establish the next segment. It was cute, it was wholesome, it was fun, and it needs to make a return. The game did get a sequel and even a spin-off, as well as a port to modern consoles in 2017. And of course, I'd be remiss to not mention his inclusion in PlayStation All-Stars, but that actually brings me to my next point. Rodney Greenblatt, the man who actually created the art style for the Parappa series, actually commented on Parappa's inclusion in The Fighter, saying, "I'm very happy that Parappa is making a bit of a comeback, but not so happy about him being in a weapon-filled battle game." He added, "Actually, the Battle Royale game is fun, and I have to do what I can to get Parappa back in the game scene. My hope is that Sony realizes the golden true potential of Parappa and asks me to design some new games. I've learned a lot and I think Parappa could be great again." That was back in 2012, and we haven't seen much in the series since. And actually, there was a Kickstarter for a game called Project Rap Rabbit, which was to be created by the guys over at Nana on Shaw, the people who created Parappa, but was eventually canceled due to missing their campaign goal, which kind of sucked because it actually looked pretty cool and it definitely had that Parappa flavor, but what can you do? Moving on. So we've gotten plenty of Mega Man over the years. I mean, there was a point where the little blue dude was playing soccer for some reason. He's no stranger to sequels either. The original Mega Man series had roughly 11 main entries, countless spin-offs, and then there's the era of the Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Legends, you get the picture. But in my opinion, Mega Man X was always the pinnacle of the Blue Buckethead. It was just so gritty and detailed, and it felt like the video game equivalent of Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mega Man X itself had 8 entries, but the last one was in 2004. Luckily, Capcom has been really into revisiting older IPs, so maybe there's some hope for this one. I don't know, we'll see. Moving on. So this next one is kind of a mixed bag, but hear me out. Eve of Extinction, or EOE, was a really cool 3D beat-em-up game from 2002, released on the PlayStation 2. You played as this hybrid between Leon Kennedy and Hwoarang from Tekken. You used different energy blades to beat up generic bad guys from a generic evil corporation. Now, of course, this is purely nostalgia talking, but this game had a really cool atmosphere and pacing, and this was actually the first game I can remember that had QTEs, and we all know how much video games love QTEs these days. And while the game itself is very dated, I think Return to this series would do really well on modern consoles. And now for some honorable mentions that'll run across the screen while I think of a way to end this video. Alright, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Why don't you chime in down below? What forgotten games do you want to see resurrected or brought to a modern audience? I hope you enjoyed it. Take care of yourselves, wash your hands, and we'll see you guys later. And before you guys go, we do have a video series that's free to watch on roosterteeth.com, and it goes up every Sunday morning. Today we had a special video go out with the wonderful Elise Willems from Funhouse, who is teaching us how to be funnier, which we all need, let's be real. You can find the link in the description below, but here's a quick preview.
Physical comedy, it can be anything from like just being like,
Yeah.
like a, if everybody, yeah, sphinx. Spider-Man would be doing that, but his penis would have flopped out of his shorts.
The nude
You know?
male body.
Kind of like,
Oh, sure.
I think this is a fun.
Yeah, like
Kind of go like that, and then if you can walk, it's like that weird sideways walk that gorillas do. That's pretty cool. You walk around like this and just like,
please, like, you know, showing your belly, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Today I
it.
would like to bend your ear a little bit and talk about video game remakes and the importance of them. So let's begin, shall we? Nostalgia. A sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. Basically thinking back to a happier time and all the things that were associated with said period.